Okay, we're live. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I went to push start and I hit turn off instead. Okay, you're live. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to say it again. It's March the 11th, 2019, Monday. Well, folks, we made it through the weekend without a revolution. Today, President Trump is pushing his budget, which the Democrats fully intend to stop. Think about it. Nothing's going on in Washington at all. Polarization, the hate Trump has got our government literally shut down. Now, the bad thing about that, other than the fact the government's not working, is the fact that it plays right in the hand of those pushing socialism. One of the strategies that they've got is to show the American people that our form of government is outdated and doesn't work anymore. They will make the case that when our founding fathers created our Constitution, they didn't have computers, telephones, cell phones. They didn't have cars, trains, none of the things we have today that we take for granted. And of course, they will claim that our form of government just will not work in a modern world. Now, guys, I want to make it real clear once and for all. There's nothing wrong with our constitutional representative republic form of government, the one our founding fathers created for us. There's nothing wrong with it at all. What is wrong is the people that we have there. But they're going to play it. And there are an awful lot of people that you know, friends of yours, that are extremely frustrated as to why the government can't get, the federal government can't get anything going in the right direction. The hate Trump movement, they will claim, it's just shut us down. Trump, they'll blame it on Trump. He shut us down. He didn't. President Trump did not. President Trump, since taking office, has fairly well done what he said he would do. Just for example, the southern border, the crisis there. Everyone knows that we're at the tipping point of breaking point on our southern border. The illegal immigration has finally gotten so big that it must be dealt with. And it must be dealt with for a couple of reasons. One, of course, major one is national security. You cannot have millions of people flooding into this country that we know nothing about. It just can't be and maintain a safe nation. But just in the interest of getting at Trump, the Democrats are willing to let our nation rob from the illegal immigration. And folks, that's wrong. That's wrong. I don't know how people in Washington look at themselves. Most all of the members of Congress, Senate, and the House, most all have enjoyed the privileges of being American. They've enjoyed the privileges of our way of life. Most everyone. But yet, they're willing, just for political gain, political power, they're willing to destroy us. And they're willing to change our form of government to socialism. When every one of those people in Washington know exactly what you and I do. Socialism has not worked anywhere in the world throughout history. It hasn't worked. Now they're going to claim that they've got a different version of socialism, that they've modified it. Don't believe it. Socialism. It's where an elitist class literally take over and everybody else are pawns, just worker bees. Never to have any advancement, never to have a future allegations out of all of these investigations, and they believe firmly that there would not be a president that could get reelected while in the middle of an impeachment process. It does seem plausible. I think any of us can see it would be almost impossible to believe that a president that's being impeached while running for his reelection could win. It is hard that anybody could win. With this election, we got the one thing that may very well save him, and by saving him, saving us. You see, we've got to make it clear, and folks, this is your job and my job, our job. We have to make it clear that if you vote for the Democrat for president, whichever one it is, you're voting for socialism. You understand that? No matter who they run on the Democratic side, no matter how they water it down, you know, they're aware now that people are catching on to their socialist agenda. So don't worry, they're going to change and claim they're not socialist or whatever they'll come up with. But a vote for anybody on the Democratic side is a vote to put us under the rule of socialism. And so if you think about it that way, I hope the majority of the people in this country, slim as it may be, I do hope that that will drive people to re-elect Trump in spite of all the stuff they bring out. President Trump could never be as bad for this country as socialism is. That's the way it's got to be. We have got to make this election about socialism. Do you want it or do you not? And if we can make it about socialism, then no matter what the Democrats bring against Trump, we win. We have to win. Because we're not kidding. If Trump loses, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you for some time, the election in 2020 is the day that we determine what happens to America. We'll either come out on the other side of 2020, the nation we have been. We're going to come out on the other side of socialist country. And that is a cruel, harsh, but honest reality. We have to win. So let me go ahead and tell y'all to start getting your questions in. I don't like to do it at the end when we don't have enough time to take your questions. So if you have questions or even a statement, send it in now in the chat room, and Mary Ellen will give it to me, and we'll try to deal with issues that you want to talk about.
We've got two questions here. We have two questions here. Can a state legislature remove a representative from the U.S. House?
You know, I've never thought about it that way. I think to remove a representative from the United States House, I think you have to have a recall election. That's my belief. Now, I could be wrong, y'all, so I do not technically know whether a state legislature can actually remove someone. I just don't know. But ordinarily, the way it would be done through a recall election.
And who would call for that?
The people. You do it through a petition. You get people to sign up and to sign a petition calling for a recall election. And I don't know in each state how many signatures you have to have, but I think it's laid out in your rules and regulations for your state. But you need to find out how many signatures you would have to warrant a recall election. But it's kind of foolish to do a recall election for a member of the House. Mary Ellen, member of the House has to run every 2 years. So if you started today trying to out somebody with a recall election, you probably couldn't even get it up and running until after you have the general election where you can vote them out. So that's why it's not done very often, if ever.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got somebody here in Hawaii that says there are 32,000 Republicans in Hawaii, but no one to make a difference. Hawaii is and has been a socialist sanctuary state since the illegal overthrow because of free benefits for all immigrants. So there's your example of what we don't want, right?
Right. Hawaii is an example of what we don't want to happen, to be honest. It is. Hawaii, California, these are examples where the system has already showing us what happens if we do it nationally. Look, somebody's got to see California. Let's just take California. More people know about it than Hawaii and what they do. But California is living proof that this don't work. Where would California be if it didn't have the federal government to give it money to make up for all of its shortfalls? Now, California is seeing right now what is going to happen. Same thing New York found to happen. People that have businesses, people that have money, they're going to leave. As much as they don't want to leave California, it's beautiful as state and climate and everything about it. They don't want to leave, but they have to leave. The government, the form of government is driving them out. The taxation is beyond the pale. So, I say to you, look at California. Is that the way we want America? California welcomes with open arms illegal immigrants. Welcomes them. Gives them free access to every benefit that any American gets. Sometimes even more. Is that what we want for this country? Just like I said, what would California be if the federal government wasn't there to bail them out? And by the way, bailing out California, in case y'all don't know, if you live in Arkansas, as I do, Maryland is Mary Ellen, Texas, or wherever you live, our tax money, our federal tax money, portions of it go to California. Yep, we're paying to make up for the mistakes that California makes. All of us. It's not right. It is not right. And one day I do hope that some level of sensitivity and knowledge will hit that state and the people where they see what's wrong. They've got to change it. We can't. Anybody else, Mariel?
Well, after what was discussed on Friday, even if people see it and are trying to do something about it, is there a chance when it's so, the election fraud is so serious over there?
Election fraud, this election is going to be monitored more than ever. It is going to be harder for them to trick this election than ever before. It doesn't mean they can't do it. It doesn't mean they're not going to try. But we have a plan. The president has a plan. He has a group that is working actively to make sure that we limit election fraud as much as humanly possible. That too falls on us in some regards. We need our people when we get near the time, closer to the time, we'll start doing it. We'll start calling for people to be poll monitors. You have a right to monitor your polling place. And the other thing is you have by law, in every state by law, they're supposed to have paper ballots just in case the equipment breaks down, the power goes off, whatever. They've got paper ballots. Make them give you one. What else you got, man?
There's just one more so far. Do you know anything about the Noahide laws and how they can be used against Christians?
About the what laws?
Noahide. It has something to do with Zionism.
I do not. I don't know about that one, folks. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Now, I did find out, by the way, that H.R. 1 does call for allowing illegal immigrants to vote. Now, folks, this is beyond the pale. This is when you can sit back and say our country's absolutely gone nuts.
Wasn't that vote
in the House are proposing to let illegal immigrants vote?
Wasn't that vote, Larry? Wasn't that vote on Friday? Was that the vote that was 400 and something to 23?
I don't know the count. I don't know. But that is in H.R. 1 as I understand it. I could be wrong, folks, so don't hold me to it being in H.R. 1. I just know that they have prepared legislation to allow the Democrats in the House have prepared legislation for illegal immigrants to be able to vote. Now, the theory behind it is if they can get the illegal immigrants to vote, then the Democrats will rule from that forever. Now, the flaw in what they're trying to do is I find it hard to believe that illegal immigrants who are hiding, trying not to get caught by ICE or anybody, that they're going to walk in and register to vote. Because they're going to think, and we're going to help them think this, by the way, they're going to think that if they go and they register to vote, then they'll be picked up. And did you hear me say we're going to help them think that? If this comes to fruition, which I do not believe it will, it's going to go through the House like so many things. It's going to be through the House. When it gets to the Senate, getting more in the Senate thanks to the writings and thanks to the senators that absolutely hate Trump with a passion, like Romney. I can't tell you anymore with certainty that things will be blocked in the Senate. And here again, this is the value of having President Trump. If it does get through the House and it does get through the Senate, Trump will veto it. He will. See, that's the neat thing about having President Trump. You can't do anything about the Democrats in the House. They took control of the House. They've got a majority there. So they can pass all of this stuff that they want to pass. That's all lies. Most of it, they have no intention of it going through. But it's just propaganda for them to use in their advertising to win elections. But as long as we've got a solid conservative as president, it can clear a crooked Congress. It'll get to the president to be vetoed.
What can we do? Is there something we can do to help make sure there's not a veto-proof vote in the Senate?
No. No. Nothing we can do. Nothing we can do except when these issues come before the Senate for a vote, then we call the Republican senators and we let them know, straightforward, we let them know that if they vote for these goofy nation-destroying bills, if they do, we'll do everything in our power to see that they never hold elected office again. That's when our playbook comes back in. So you have to deal with it as they come to the Senate. We'll try to keep you posted. And when the vote is coming in the Senate that will destroy our nation that's been passed by the House, we still have the power to get on the phone. And I mean, get on the phone scripts, already written scripts that you read, and we scare the bejesus out of the Republican senators to try and force them to do right. It does work. We just have to pick the issue, pick the time to call, and do it together, as an organization, as a group.
If we know of, here's another question. If we know of somebody who's here illegally, what would be the procedure to notify ICE? Do we have the right to call ICE ourselves? How would we find out how to do that?
Yes, you do. Now, let me tell you something that went on during Obama's administration. If you called ICE or the FBI to expose an illegal immigrant, there was a good chance under the Obama administration that you would be arrested. You would be prosecuted. But that is not the case today. Thanks to President Trump and his efforts to stop immigration, illegal immigration, is if you know of somebody, call ICE. Find out where the ICE office is that has jurisdiction in your area, and call and give them the name and as best you can where the people are at.
How would you go about, who would you call to find out about that? A state legislator?
Who would you call to find out about what?
To find out about, how to report to ICE. Would you call your state legislator to get the ICE number? Or?
Call ICE.
Okay.
Probably what you have to do is call your FBI office closest to you and then ask them how to get in touch with the ICE office in your area. No, don't call legislators. No, you go straight to ICE. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll tell you the truth about what to do and how.
Okay. That's all the questions we have right now, Larry.
All right. Good. Well, folks, if you've got them, please send them in. I'll address them as I can. But speaking of ICE, ICE under the present budgetary constraints, they're overworked. They truly are. They're doing a terrific job compared to years past of rounding up people that shouldn't be here. And what I like is they have a priority at ICE for anybody that's here that has a history of breaking the law. They will find them, they will go at them, and they will prosecute them, and they will send them out of here. But prosecuting and sending them out of here is worthless if we don't fix the order. Because if ICE catches a criminal, illegal immigrant, now remember, if they're here illegally, they're already illegal. So that, number one, is the situation. They're illegal by being here without going through the proper channels. But ICE prioritizes and finds ones that have the greatest potential or history of criminality. But here's the problem. They send them back. With our border babies, they just come back in, folks. They just come back in. That's why you hear these stories of people that were arrested and they had been deported 9 times before. They get deported, they come back in, they get caught, they get deported, they come back in. We have to get Congress to take seriously the issue of illegal immigration, period. I don't doubt that there have to be some changes. I figure there's probably some changes that need to be made in our current system to help. But to be quite honest, our present laws are sufficient. Our present laws do work. But they can't work as long as we have a revolving door. You understand? That's not me saying, that's just the facts. administration, period. We can't do anything because the Democrats are so fixed on getting rid of Trump that they'll not cooperate in any way with any type of reasonable, logical, workable solution on the border. They won't. And that's why I was saying what I did earlier about they're willing to put our nation in serious jeopardy, serious danger, simply because they don't want Trump in office. And folks, the reason they don't want Trump in office is really not President Trump that they hate. They hate anybody that represents us, anybody that would dare go to Washington, certainly as the president, and not be a part of that deep state cartel that runs Washington, D.C. It's actually a cartel, just like a drug cartel, just like any organized crime group. That's what's controlling Washington, D.C. now. And they cannot allow an outsider to get in and mess things up. They've had it not the way they've had it. They've had it made. And they don't want to see that interrupted in any way.
Okay, I was just sent some information from the Washington Times on Friday. The House Democrats voted to defend localities that allow illegal immigrants to vote in their elections, turning back a GOP attempt to discourage the practice. And this reverses something they voted on in the chamber 6 months ago when GOP had control and they voted against illegal immigration voting. Representative John Lewis, Democrat from Georgia, said, "We're prepared to open up the political process and let all people come in." The vote was 228 to 197.
Guys, think about what we're talking about here. Think about it. Why would we let people that are coming here illegally to use, many of them, not all of them, but many of them, to use and abuse our welfare system? Why in the world would we want them to be able to vote just so they can vote for things that benefit them? Think about that. We're the ones that have to pay the bills. We're the ones that have to pay the emergency room fees for all of them. We're the ones that have to pay for all the welfare programs for all of them.
The crazy thing is, Larry, H.R. 1 was called For the People Act.
Right. Well, let me tell you about that. That's the old steamroller story I've told y'all before, many people before. You see a bill that goes through Congress, and let's say it's called steamroller. It gets voted down. The people rise up and they call, and they put so much pressure on everybody in Washington that they can't pass it. So they set it aside, or they lose. When you think it's over, but it's not. What they'll do is wait a few months. They'll simply change the title of the bill, a little bit of the wording, but mostly just the title. Instead of steamrollers, which are bad, they roll over you steamrollers, they change the title of the bill to Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel bill. Everybody thinks Ferris wheels are good. Ferris wheels are good, so don't worry about it. That's what they do. When they want something, they keep bouncing it around until they find a package that they can use that the public will buy. Now they'll either do that, or there'll be some bill coming up that has total support, that is like a military spending, and they'll tag this thing that they want in with it. So if you don't vote for the steamroller bill, then the military doesn't get funding. There's just a myriad of games they play, all designed to know the truth about something coming out of Washington, figure out what the exact opposite is of what they're saying. And 99% of the time, you'll be right. Now, sometimes it's easy, like up, the opposite's down, left, the opposite's right. Sometimes it's not that easy to figure out what is the opposite of what they're trying to pull off. But generally speaking, whatever they tell you is a lie. And it usually is exactly the opposite of the truth. Meaning, whatever they say, the opposite of that's what they really want, what they're really doing to us. We have been deceived so long. We have been a population that since John F. Kennedy was assassinated, they figured out then that we can literally be fooled beyond belief. Remember, the assassination of Kennedy was done in front of the whole country, the whole world, for that matter. What they said and what they claimed with the magic bullet and all this other stuff didn't make means for sense. But they got away with it. They got away with it. Now, I'm not going to relive history. I don't know who killed Kennedy. I don't, none of that. But I can tell you this, kind of like with Vince Foster. The story they told us about Kennedy and his assassination, I do not believe was true. Just like Vince Foster, I don't know whether he killed himself or somebody killed him. But what I do know, beyond a shadow of any doubt and proven it for the law, he did die in Fort Marcy Park the way he said he did. Somebody moved that body, so therefore there was a crime. But it's done every day, and we've become such a passive society. We've become such a gullible society. We have become such a non-interested society in what Washington's doing that they have had to believe run of the board for years. And now it's come to the point where we have to stop it. Now it's come to the point where we have to do something about it.
And I want to say on that note, Larry, thank you for leading the charge to help us figure out what to do and how to do it.
Well, Mary, you and I talk about it all the time. Pardon me. We talk about it all the time about I'm just not very entertaining. I'm just not good at picking up some of these conspiracy theories and going nuts with them. I'm not. I admit it. I do. But I think I'm more important, more valuable, I guess. Not important, but more valuable. Teaching what it's like on the other side, what they're doing, the things I was involved with, things I know about. And if you didn't walk that walk, if you didn't live in the world I did, you couldn't possibly know. I hope that's of value to somebody. I do. And every day, Mary Ellen hits me with the latest conspiracy that's floating around on the internet. And I just drop my head and just shake my head and wonder how on earth can people be believing this stuff.
And your blood pressure skyrockets, which creates a problem, folks.
Yes. You think we're getting hot. It literally drives me crazy. And I want to address it, but then if I address it, I'm calling attention to it, and I don't want to do that. And it's not my job, folks, to be the social media police. It's not my job to tell you when everything's wrong, not right. It's not. I can tell you that if you're not careful, and these kind of stories propagate out there, they do destroy our mood. They do destroy our effort. I need 1,000 people, 1,000 people that are willing to do what I ask when I ask it. And we can prove save the country. 1,000 people. Now we get 1,000 people, a lot. But what happens, people come on board, and then they get tired, or they wear it down, and they drop to the wayside. They don't like to hear me have to ask for support. They don't like to hear that, so that's caused to go away. But folks, we need 1,000 people. 1,000 people willing to understand how serious what's going on in our country is. Not afraid to know that we're out of time, that the 2020 election is the moment in time when we free ourselves from socialism, or we fall into its trap. I mean, we gotta have people that aren't afraid of knowing the truth. And yes, knowing the cruel and hard and often disappointing reality. It's tough. It is tough, I know it. I live it every day, as does Mary Ellen, as do several of you that listen. And believe it, I appreciate more than any of you know. Those of you who have participated and participate and have committed and have worked just as hard as we have. I mean, I do. Now I want to remind you all that we did create Never Socialism, the t-shirt. Why? Why did I do that? Was it to sell t-shirts? No. You'll notice the t-shirt costs $39, $39.95. If I'm just trying to sell trinkets in a t-shirt, I would get the cheapest t-shirt. I would get a logo that doesn't cost much to reprint, and probably order in quantity so we can get the price way down. But I don't want our organization going around looking like we just came from a rock concert with one of the trinkets they sell. Plus, I want a logo that does something. I wanted a logo that spawned conversation. I wanted a logo that if you look across the room, that's what you see. You may see 500 people, but I guarantee you will see that logo that says Never Socialism. It will think out. It will. So I want you to tell what you wear. You don't make it. By the time everything is said and done, we don't make it at all. Get anything when it's all said and done. But it's there for a reason. Then we had a listener, you had the simple water, we had a listener that was good enough to work with us and help us get the bumper stickers, Never Socialism bumper stickers. We got them. We need you to display them proudly. Remember what I'm telling you, this whole election is going to end on whether people understand that it's about socialism or not. Don't look at the character that's running for the Democrat. Don't look at the person or the individual. It doesn't matter who they are. It's what they represent. I saw Bernie Sanders today, I think, in a piece of a news clip where he was speaking somewhere to a big crowd, by the way. And he said years ago, when he was running, the ideas and the things he said were far-fetched. Far-fetched. This was 2016. They were far-fetched. And he said today, it's mainstream. Now, I hope he's wrong. I do not want to believe that his socialism understanding she was socialism or communism. And Bernie Sanders professed socialist in 2016's primary election. More people in America voted for one of those two than all of the Republicans put together. Think about it. That day in 2016, that day, if the question was, do you want to be a socialist country? You realize that day, 51% or plus of the people that voted said yes. That scared me to my knees. And if I wanted to stop, if I was tired, sick, and I didn't want to do this anymore, believe me, that changed my opinion. And I hope to God it changes yours if you think about that. People like us, socialism is a bad word. But you got to remember, we're up against the majority voting population of the young have been brainwashed since the day they set foot in the school. They don't think socialism is bad. And I don't know, between now and November 2020, we can convince them it's bad. So our hope is that we get all of our people this last time, because I mean, every day our age group's dying off. Would you know that? Every day we lose more and more our age group. From, let's say, 60 plus, 50 plus, we're losing. So 2020 is our last stand. It's the last stand between people who have the history to know what socialism truly is. It's our last stand to save this country. It's our last time to vote. Please help us. Please do what's right for your country, for your family, for your grandchildren. Do what's right. Stand up in 2020. And from now until then, do everything in your power to convince everybody that you come in contact with that this election coming up is more about socialism or not than it is in personally as president. It truly is. And if we lose in 2020, do you hear me? If we lose in 2020, all of us will have died off. The millennium group will become more and more of the majority. And it'll be over. Any other questions, Mariana?
Yeah, there was a question about the allegations involving the AOC, Alexandria Cortez, and the money issues. Do anything about that?
Well, if you're referring to that almost $1 million that she transferred, or her manager transferred from one account to another account, it's my opinion, that they were very smart. Her manager, or whatever he is, literally created LLCs, limited liability corporations. He formed them, started them, and then put money in them, in which they control. He and she, I suppose, know exactly who signs the checks, but it's he and she for all purposes. They formed an LLC. They transferred the money to that account, to which they controlled totally. Then they formed another LLC as I understand, or something like that. What made her decide as a bartender, gee, golly gee, I want to run for the House of Representatives? What made her make that decision? Was it her decision? Or did people come to her and ask her to run? That's the question that I'm concerned about. Because if she was asked to run, then somebody owns her. Now she's walking around wearing $3,000 dresses. Dresses that you don't afford as a bartender, and dresses that you can't buy freshly going into the House of Representatives, even at their income. Where's she getting that kind of money? And then today I hear that she spoke somewhere, and she went all the way back to slamming Ronald Reagan. Slamming him. She tells a large crowd of young people her version of history. And her version of history relative to Ronald Reagan and what he did with the economy is totally wrong. It's wrong to any fair-minded person that actually looks historically to see what really took place. But she put her spin on it, and her history version is totally wrong. See, what's scary, guys, is that group that she was talking to that heard her say that, and all the other groups that she talks to and that she says that to, they believe it. They believe it. And I've never seen anyone like we have in our House today, in the United States House of Representatives today. We've got a person in the AOC girl that's thoroughly despised our form of government, our capitalism, despises it. And you've got another woman who's an anti-Muslim that despises our country. And it's amazing how she can talk bad about Israel and the Jews. And boy, you might as well have slapped the pole. But yet, passed legislation protecting her right to say stuff ugly about Israel and the Jews. But you can't say anything. It's not illegal to say anything bad about Christianity. Dear Lord, that does not compute in America. I would have never believed in America, even as low as we can go, we would never get to that point. That's just over the top. And then at the same time we're doing that, literally passing legislation to kill babies after they're born. I mean, folks, that's not the America that I think we are. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. I hope that does not represent who we are today. Because if it does, our moral decline has pushed us so far down that even God might not want to help us anymore. Any other questions, Mary Ellen?
A whole bunch of them just came in, but given okay. Question about the foreign degrees taking the jobs in the Marxist billionaire tech industry.
I don't understand what you just said. What?
Says, what about all the fake foreign degrees taking all the jobs in the Marxist billionaire tech industry?
Well, they're doing it. I don't know about them being fake degrees, but I do know that there are places these people go and get degrees in other countries that the standards in good paying jobs, when in truth their degree from some other country should not rate the same power or whatever that someone that graduates and gets a degree here.
I can add something to this topic, Larry, because of what I know. With engineering and some of the other STEM, science and technology degrees, a university gives a scholarship or a discount to state residents. If a foreigner comes over, they pay the full tuition with no discount. So the school makes more money allowing a foreign student to come in. Then those students get these high-tech jobs. They don't want the businesses in these fields don't want those students then going over to their own country and becoming competition for the American engineers. So they want to be hired. And then the other piece is, because of where they come from, they're willing to work for a lower wage. And so that kicks the American out of the job market. And, I have a relative that's dealing with that himself. And so this is an issue. And it's been going on for a long time, and I don't see that it's changing either. Sorry about that. And this person just said Trump's in support of the visas, bringing in foreigners for the tech jobs.
What Trump is in support of, as I understand it, you'll notice he says merit-based legal immigration. Merit-based. Don't you bring people in across the board? We need to find people, not just educationally, but we need to find people who can do the jobs we need, that have the training and the experience to do the job. And I totally support the fact that we should have merit-based immigration. That just means people that come here and work and participate in our society. What you got? What's next?
Why do 2/3 of our House and Senate attend APAC meetings?
Money. That is a powerful organization. And they all go there so that they can claim, they're in support, etc. And they get money. Big donors, or so they think. But it's totally 100% just about going and getting money. They don't give a damn about speaking. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about the organization, what it stands for, what it represents. They don't care. It's just an organization that historically has money to offer candidates. Maybe not as a part of the group, but the people that are in the group have money. What you got? What's next?
Well, I'm worried about your voice, Larry.
What's next?
All right. Why do our senators and representatives pledge allegiance to a foreign state and our lawmakers protect their borders but not ours?
Well, to the person that sent that, that's the $64,000 question. I wish I could answer it. I don't think there is an acceptable answer to that. But it's happening. It's happening every day. I'm sick of it. That's about as un-American an act as anybody could pull off. But then when it's a congressman or a member of the House or the Senate, that just makes it incredibly worse. What you got?
Well, yeah, this is the last one. The white birth rates are below replacement rate throughout the entire Western world. And why are the governments replacing us? I think, one reason we need immigration, legal immigration, is because of abortion. We've lost our citizens.
One thing that's happened to the average those suckers out left and right.
They value life.
And we're not. So what do you do about that? You know, we can't make people have babies. And I don't know any way to stop people from having babies. So the best way to address that is we better get a handle on the population coming into this country, because it's not inconceivable. That's not even the right thing to say. It will happen sooner than you think that we will become the minority. We will.
That's,
Folks, with that, unless you've got another one.
no, that's it.
With that, folks, if you a good day. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to this town, Jason, and then I'll be here at 3. Let me thinking about it tonight, and when I come home tomorrow at 3 Central, if you have questions, get them in early so that we can address them. And anybody that can, you can help. We need it. It's nicholsliv at AOL.com. We need your support. Yeah, and that's it for me, unless you've got something.
No, I was just gonna say it's PayPal. Larry Nichols. PayPal. Larry's account is nicholsliv at AOL.com. And the Nichols, the website nicholsliv.com has some alternative methods if necessary. It'd be better for you to contact me if necessary for an alternative way. And we can talk more about that tomorrow. Thank you, folks, for listening, and we'll be with you tomorrow.
Thank you.